The episode opens in a busy Hollywood office building. Arthur Curtis, a successful businessman, is on the phone discussing routine matters work, travel, and family life. He appears calm, focused, and responsible, but as he continues his call, something strange happens. He suddenly hears a director calling action, and the environment around him suddenly feels artificial. Curtis becomes disoriented. The office walls seem to shift, people behave oddly, and the world feels less stable. When he tries to leave the building, he's confronted by confusion and resistance. The doorman insists he is not who he believes himself to be. As Curtis steps outside, the world transforms completely. The office building becomes a film studio. The city street outside is revealed as a Hollywood backlot. Signs, props, lighting equipment are everywhere. Even more unsettling, he's told repeatedly that he is not Arthur Curtis at all, but an actor named Gerald Regan. According to those around him, he's a troubled performer whose personal life has fallen apart. He's been drinking heavily, his marriage is failing, and he's currently in the middle of filming a scene where he suddenly broke character and started believing he was someone else. Curtis insists that this is wrong. He remembers a wife named Helen, a home, a daughter, and a stable life. But the studio personnel, including a director and production staff, insist those memories are part of a breakdown. They treat his identity crisis as psychological rather than reality. The more Curtis resists, the more the world pushes back. Every attempt he makes to prove he is Arthur Curtis results in further evidence that he's Gerald Regan. He's shown paperwork, scripts, and even his wife, who is actually an actress playing a role in the production. At one point, he is forcibly escorted away with people insisting he needs medical help. The experience becomes increasingly claustrophobic. He's trapped in a world where every piece of evidence contradicts his own lived memory. Curtis is eventually taken to a psychiatrist or studio doctor to figure out everything and who will explain the truth. He is Gerald Regan, an actor suffering a mental breakdown. They argue that his belief in being Arthur Curtis is a delusion triggered by stress and alcohol. Curtis is deeply shaken. Everything around him appears consistent with their explanation, yet his memory feels real and is emotionally grounded. He recalls his wife and daughter with such clarity that he cannot accept that they are imaginary. The psychological pressure becomes overwhelming. He's told that if he accepts treatment, he can recover and return to a normal life. In the final moments, Curtis breaks free and desperately runs through the studio lot. He finds himself drawn back to the world he believes he is real, the life of Arthur Curtis. As he runs, the studio lights and sets begin to fade away. The Hollywood environment dissolves. Suddenly, he is no longer in the studio. He's in a calm suburban home. His wife greets him warmly. His daughter is present. Everything is peaceful and normal. It appears that Arthur Curtis has won. He's escaped the illusion of being an actor and returned to real life. But the final shot reveals a darker ambiguity. The studio setting and Gerald Regan reality may still be the true world. The implication is that Curtis may have simply retreated into a comforting fantasy of being Arthur Curtis. The episode refuses to confirm which reality is real. Howard Duff was an American actor best known for his work in radio, film noir, and television, with long careers that made him one of Hollywood's most recognizable, tough, smooth voiced character actors. Howard Green Duff was born November 24th, 1913, in Bremerton, Washington, and raised partly in Seattle. He became interested in performance while in school and began acting in local theater after being cut from his high school basketball team. After graduating in 1932, he worked as a radio announcer in Seattle, where he developed the deep, distinctive voice that would later become one of his trademarks. During World War II, he served in the U.S. Army Corps, working in communication. Duff's big break came in radio when he became internationally famous as the voice of private detective Sam Spade in The Adventures of Sam Spade from 1946 to 1950. His performance defined the hard-boiled detective archetype on radio. Cool, witty, tough. This role made him one of the most popular radio actors of the late 1940s and helped launch his screen career. Duff moved into film into the 1940s under contract with Universal. He quickly became associated with film noir and crime dramas, often playing tough, morally complex characters. Some of his notable films include Brute Force, 1947, The Naked City, 1948, All My Sons, 1948, Woman in Hiding, 1950, While the City Sleeps, 1956, Kramer vs. Kramer, 1979, as Dustin Hoffman's lawyer, and No Way Out in 1987. He appeared frequently alongside his wife, actress Ida Lupino, in both films and television projects. Duff had a very successful television career, especially from the 1950s through the 1980s. He was a frequent guest star in dramatic anthology series and popular shows. Key TV highlights include Mr. Adams and Eve, 57 to 58, with Ida Lupino, Dante and 60 to 61, Felony Squad, 66 to 69, where he starred as Sergeant Sam Stone, guest appearances on Murder, She Wrote, The Rockford Files, Magnum PI, and Dallas. He was known for playing detectives, lawyers, authority figures, and morally ambiguous professionals. Duff was known for high-profile relationships, including actress Ava Gardner in the 40s. In 51, he married actress and director Ida Lupino. They had one daughter, Bridget, and worked together professionally several times before divorcing in the 1980s. He later married Judy Jenkinson. Howard Duff died July 8, 1990, in Santa Barbara, California, from a heart attack at the age of 76. He's remembered as one of radio's greatest detective voices in Sam Spade, a staple of classic film noir, and a reliable, versatile television character actor for over 40 years. His career bridged multiple eras of entertainment, from radio's golden age to modern television drama, making him a key figure in 20th century screen acting history. David White was an American stage, film, and television actor best known for his long-running role as Larry Tate, the energetic advertising executive on the hit sitcom Bewitched. David White was born on April 4, 1916, in Denver, Colorado. He was raised partly in Pennsylvania and later moved to California, where he attended Los Angeles City College. He trained in acting at major regional theaters, including the Pasadena Playhouse and the Cleveland Playhouse, both important stepping stones for many mid-20th century American actors. During World War II, whilst White served in the U.S. Marine Corps. After the war, he returned to acting and made his Broadway debut in 1949 in the play Leaf and Bough. White built his career steadily through the 50s, working in Broadway productions, live television dramas, and supporting film roles. He appeared in such notable films as Sweet Smell of Success in 57, The Apartment 1960, and Sunrise in Capobello 1960. He also guest starred in many early television anthology and drama series, gaining a reputation as a reliable character actor in professional authority-type roles. His most famous role came in 1964 when he was cast as Larry Tate on Bewitched. White appeared in nearly 200 episodes of the series. Larry Tate was Darren Stevens' boss at the advertising agency, ambitious, fast-talking, and often comedic, a character who balanced charm with self-interest. The role made White a household name and one of television's most recognizable supporting actors of the 60s and early 70s. After Bewitched, White continued working steadily in television, appearing in such shows as The Odd Couple, Rhoda, The Fugitive, Perry Mason, The Love Boat. He also took on occasional film roles, continuing to play professionals, executives, and authority figures. White experienced significant personal tragedy. His first wife, Mary Welsh, died in 1958. His son Jonathan later died in the Pan Am Flight 103 bombing over Lockerbie in 1988, a loss that deeply affected him. He later remarried actress Linda Gorsuch, and they had a daughter together. David White died on November 27, 1990, in North Hollywood, California, from a heart attack at age 74. David White's remembered as one of classic television's most effective straight man comic performers, a versatile stage actor with 40 years in a career, the defining presence behind one of TV's most iconic sitcom bosses. His performance as Larry Tate remains a standout example of how a supporting character can become essential to a show's rhythm, humor, and identity. The living room set is the same one used a few episodes before in Elegy, 1960. When Arthur Curtis first sees his wife in his office at the very end of the shoot, the film goes in reverse for less than a second. You can see Arthur Curtis move backwards and Mrs. Curtis' handbag swing back abruptly, both in the exact same moment as when going forward. As the little girl on Ventnor Road points out Arthur Curtis, she can be heard saying, "That's the one, Mommy. That's the one, Mommy. He's the one that grabbed me. He scared me." But her lips aren't moving. At its core, A World of Difference is about how fragile reality can be when it's filtered through perception, authority, and psychological stress. Unlike many Twilight Zone episodes that end with a clear moral, this one leaves the viewer unsettled. If your memories and experience can be contradicted by everyone around you, how do you know who you are or which world is real? The theme of World of Difference revolves around one central unsettling idea. Reality is not something we directly possess. It's something we negotiate, and it can be taken away by context, authority, or perception. Unlike episodes that focus on external threats, this story turns inward. The conflict is not between people or aliens, it's between competing versions of identity, and the terrifying question of which one is real. The episode suggests that identity is not fixed. Arthur Curtis, or Gerald Regan, depending on the reality, is not just confused, he's caught between two complete life narratives. What makes this disturbing is that both identities feel emotionally real to him, both have supporting evidence, neither can be fully disproven from within the experience. The theme here is that identity depends on the continuity of experience, and when the continuity is disrupted, the self becomes unstable. In other words, you are not just who you are, but also the story you can consistently maintain about who you are. A major theme in the conflict is between internal certainty and external authority. Curtis feels like Arthur Curtis. He remembers a family, he recalls a home life with emotional depth, his memories are coherent and meaningful. But everyone around him insists he's wrong. Doctors diagnose him, film crew members correct him, documentation contradicts him. This creates a psychological trap. If everyone agrees you are mistaken, your own experience becomes unreal, unreliable, even if it feels real. The episode explains how easily authority systems, medicine, media, institutions can redefine a person's reality. Another key theme is that evidence is contextual, not absolute. In Curtis's world, scripts, sets, and actors are proof he's Gerald Regan. His memories are dismissed as delusions. But in Arthur Curtis's perception, the studio environment is the illusion. His memories are the only stable truth. The episode refuses to privilege either set of evidence. Instead, it shows that what counts as proof depends entirely on which system of reality you actually are inside. This makes reality itself feel circular. You believe what you would already allows you to believe. A deeper theme is that the idea that the mind may create or retreat into a reality that is emotionally sustainable. If Gerald Reagan's life is unstable, emotionally broken, filled with failure and alcoholism, then Arthur Curtis's life becomes structured, loving, meaningful. The episode raises an uncomfortable possibility. The mind may reject the unbearable truth in favor of a coherent illusion, but it's never confirmed whether this is happening. That uncertainty is the point. The episode's most unsettling theme is doubt, the question of how we know if anything is real. Unlike science fiction stories where one reality is revealed to be false, this episode does something more destabilizing. It presents two fully functional realities, each emotional and logical consistency. Neither is defined, proven, or disproven. This creates a closed loop of uncertainty where reality is not discovered, it's experienced, and experience alone is not enough to verify it. Ultimately, the episode suggests that a person is not just a body or mind, but a story that holds together over time. When Curtis's fractures into two incomplete versions, the self itself fractures. The theme becomes, if your life story can be rewritten by others, if your memory can be dismissed as fiction, if your environment contradicts your experience, then the self is not stable. It's negotiated narrative, vulnerable to collapse. At its core, the episode argues reality is not simply what is true, it is what remains consistent when everything else is questioned. And when consistency breaks, so does identity. That's why the ending feels unsettling. It just doesn't ask where Curtis is, it asks whether anyone can ever be certain of where they are or who they are at all. I've never really cared for this episode that much. I guess it was because there was no conclusion. It was left up to the viewer to decide on which form of reality was real and which one was fake. In researching the show and researching this specific episode and trying to write up all of this information about it, things started falling more and more into place to where I watched it, took notes, still thought it was okay, wrote my notes, came back, watched it again, knowing what I had written, and came up with the conclusion that this is much more interesting than I had ever imagined it to be. So, my initial review of this would have been a 2 out of 5, but I'm still not 100% on it, so I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. So, I hope that you'll enjoy it though, and watch it with this new thought in mind that there is a reality, but which is which? Is it the stable family or the actor? That's up to you. Enjoy the episode, though.